have you seen the thing, the like popular news story that came out saying that it was just a single dad, no link to a gang? You know
I
what I'm
saw,
talking about?
yeah, I saw that somebody from Maine was deported to a prison in El Salvador. Yeah, and they can't get him back.
Did you see that it was proven that he was a part of MS-13?
I haven't heard anything apart from the fact that there's a dad from Maine that was deported. I'd have to look into like further reporting on the issue. This morning, I've spent my time focusing on Cory Booker, but I don't think it was.
Um, I think the dude I'm talking about is from Maryland.
Okay, well, I'm talking about a guy from Maine. So,
Okay.
anyways, back on topic. Would you be able to give me one reason why mass deportation is better for America than mass amnesty? Mass amnesty just simply meaning offering undocumented migrants a pathway to residency or citizenship.
Not off the top of my head. I have to look deeper
Okay,
into it.
so then
I
why would
mean,
you support it if you can't name one reason why it's better than mass amnesty? And I named about 10 reasons why mass amnesty was better than mass deportation.
can you explain to me how deporting the illegal citizens here will negatively impact the job market for American citizens? Because for
Mm-hmm.
to me, right, freeing up the space and allowing American citizens to come in and take that space would help us more.
No, it doesn't. And I can make this intuitively clear to you. If we fired every American worker over the age of 55 to allow younger workers to fill those positions, would that negatively impact the job market?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
If we fired every worker in America over the age of 55 to allow those positions to be taken by individuals under the age of 55, would that negatively impact the job market in America?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there you go. I mean, I just reframed the issue. Instead of
Okay.
saying that we're gonna like fire everybody that's an undocumented migrant, so non-undocumented migrants can get those positions. Fire everybody that's over the age of 55, so individuals that aren't over the age of 55 can get those positions. I mean, it's the same logic. We're just saying that these individuals that are productive providers, working a job to produce goods to sell to the American people, that also make money themselves and pay taxes and buy goods as well, are going to be kicked out of the economy. It reduces the size of the labor force. It reduces the productivity of the labor force. It reduces
Bless you.
GDP growth because those people are making and spending money, and it reduces federal income.
Okay. Can we talk about the military wise now?
What about the military made you vote for Trump?
I just feel like his it's not really a policy, but his peace through strength is what we need.
Peace through, well, he doesn't offer peace through strength. I mean, he's been using his quote unquote strength to bow the knee to Putin and threaten a military invasion of Greenland. I think one of the most recent updates was, the economic wars on our allies, such as Canada, Panama, then all the countries in the EU. So,
So, what evidence is there to show that he's? I know the left likes to say he's a puppy dog to Putin.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
There's really no proof to that.
right.
And
Sure, there is.
what is the proof? Like,
Yeah, let's go through it. Russia's
definitive proof.
interfered with the last three elections to get Trump elected. We have leaked Kremlin documents where the Kremlin and Putin called Donald Trump easy to manipulate. And then all of Donald Trump's actions have been taken to benefit Russia, to benefit the Kremlin, and to benefit Putin. If Donald Trump was a known Russian asset, I can't really name anything that he'd be doing differently.
What specifically? All right. So I know you're talking about the Ukrainian war, right?
The Russian invasion of Ukraine, I wouldn't call that a war.
Well, sure. I mean, it's a war now, but anyways, do you agree that they had an agreement before 2014? Because you know it started in 2014, right?
So that's when Russia annexed Crimea.
Yeah, that's when it like started. And before 2014, they had an agreement that Ukraine can't join NATO. Now, I'm not saying Ukraine's in the wrong.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
No.
How? Yeah,
How?
I've
Wait,
seen the
because
document.
it doesn't exist. No, you haven't. You're
There's
lying.
never there was never a agreement saying that Ukraine can't join NATO.
No, there's never been an agreement that said that.
I mean, I've seen. Anyways, I have to go look it up, but I promise you, I've seen it before though.
You're thinking about when a NATO representative told the Soviet Union that we wouldn't expand west to the west in the 90s, but the only reason they said that was because if they did expand east, they'd be expanding into Russia.
Right. So I'm not saying Russia's right, but do you agree with me that they probably feel like they were gonna get, I wouldn't say invaded, but their like little personal bubble was being invaded if Ukraine were to join NATO? That was their
Dude,
last.
we've already had three other countries that border Russia join NATO:
That's what I'm saying. That was their
Latvia,
last. That was
Lithuania,
their last
Estonia.
buffer.
Do you know
Buffer.
why? Take a guess why Russia didn't want Ukraine to join NATO? Because I know why.
It's because NATO will be, or it's because Russia will be completely surrounded by
No,
NATO.
it's because Russia wanted to fucking invade Ukraine. And if Ukraine joined NATO, then they want to be able to invade them because then Article 5 would be invoked and World War III would start.
So why hasn't NATO accepted Ukraine like completely?
How would I know? How would I know? But when you tell me anything but the fact that the only reason that Russia did not want Ukraine to join NATO was because they wanted to fucking invade them, you're just spewing bullshit. Putin wants to recreate the USSR. When you tell me that there's something bad about Ukraine joining NATO, you are spewing pro-Russia propaganda. And by the way, it's not like the Kremlin hasn't worked to get this propaganda on your phone screen and in your media. In fact, we have more documents from the last 2 to 3 months where the Kremlin, we have these Kremlin documents where they straight up talk about how they've been pushing propaganda on the American public to think that the American government has been funding Ukraine too much money. Like you are literally falling a victim to Russian propaganda. At the end of the day, Putin wants to rebuild the USSR.
I do think we gave them too much money, but
Okay, you fell victim to Russian propaganda. Why do you think
how?
that? Why do you think we give them too much money?
We gave them over 100 billion.
Yeah, 110 billion. And what's the issue?
It was a loan to begin with, so I feel like we should get it back
You're not telling me why you think we've given them too much money.
because I don't know the certain amount, right?
120 billion. What's the issue with that? 32
How much
billion a
of it
year.
actually went into the war? Because I'm
It
sure
was
you've
for
seen that. Some of
humanitarian
it,
aid, weapons, and funding for the war.
did you see that some of it went missing? Where did that go?
What do you mean some of it went missing? I don't know what reporting you're talking about, but you're not answering my question. I didn't ask you, or I didn't state none of the monies went missing. I asked you to describe to me why we've given them too much funding.
It's just too much.
Why?
Because it's too much. Like,
Oh, so it's too much because it's too much. Okay. Well, my argument is that it's not enough because it's not enough. Where do we go from here? Circular arguments don't win a debate.
that's fair. You got it.
He left. Womp womp. Womp womp womp. We're gonna go to move on to the next guest. Somebody botted my TikTok post views, and it makes me so sad because it just absolutely killed the push. What an L. All right, we're gonna go to get that next guest up in here. Everyone, just going to give us a minute, y'all. We got Poppy loading up into the box. Everybody, just give us a minute. What's going on? Did he vote for Trump?
Yeah, what's going on with it?
Why the hell did you do that?
Well, I felt like he would have been better for our economy, our foreign policy, and a bunch of other things that I didn't agree with the left.
Why do you think that?
Well, we've seen his first presidency, coming out of a pandemic. I don't think he did too bad with
His
that.
first presidency was not coming out of a pandemic. That was Biden and Harris's presidency.
Well, he was in the pandemic, and I don't
So,
think
no,
I don't think
at
he
the end of his presidency,
I don't
went
think he
into
did
the
bad
pandemic.
with that
Oh, I
time
wasn't
period.
playing with
However the timeline goes, I don't think he did bad with his first presidency.
Okay, sure. So, what was your favorite policy that he influenced to get passed under his first presidency?
Well, I seen direct impact from his tax reform.
You like his tax cuts?
Yeah, I liked them.
Okay. Do you make over or under $400,000 per year?
Under.
Under. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're actually being hurt by his economic policy in the second term. Anybody that makes under $395,000 per year will be worse off and have less purchasing power due to his tax cuts that disproportionately favor the ultra wealthy and his tariffs that disproportionately and regressively harm you the less money you make. And I'm not just making a baseless claim here. This is coming from a study done by the Institution on Economics and Taxation.
Okay, but do you agree with getting rid of the income tax, and do you agree with his plan on not taxing on overtime and things like that
Okay.
for the American workers?
Okay, so do I agree with getting rid of the income tax? I'll answer the question if you could tell me why it's relevant.
I think it's relevant because American people are being taxed to hell on everything we literally pay for and own and everything. Um, so my question is, do you agree with the that? Do you agree
Do you
with
think
that?
that Donald Trump is going to get rid of the income tax?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
He's already proposed his tax cuts. He's cutting income tax. He's not getting rid of it.
Or okay, well, do you agree with the no tax on overtime and tips and Social Security and all of that?
I agree with no tax on overtime. I agree with no tax on tips. I agree with no tax on Social Security. That's great. But the overall impact of his economic policy, including all of his tax cuts and his tariffs, hurt anybody making under $395,000 per year.
Okay, well, so with the left being so-called for the people, right? For the working people, why haven't they ever addressed something like this to put money in the working class people pocket?
So once again, his economic policy is not putting money in the pockets of the average American. It's taking money out of the pockets of the average American. Once again, my source is the Institute on Taxation and Economics. Anybody making under $395,000 per year will have less purchasing power under Donald Trump's economic policy in his second administration.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, I've
That's
explained to you
something that
why,
we
and I've
can.
given you a source. Why are you engaging in anti-intellectualism?
Well, I'm not engaging in
Sure
anti-intellectualism.
you are. You're disputing fact with
I
no
mean, because
reasons.
because you can say something and something that you might think to be true, but it's not true. You can
Well,
you
I'm
can
not
sit
merely saying something. I'm
you can
giving you
sit
an
here
argument with
and cite
reason
all
and
the
a source.
resources and everything that you want, but that doesn't mean that that's a fact.
Oh, okay. You sound like a flat earther right now. Do you know that?
Well, whatever.
I mean, seriously. Well, imagine I
You
was
want to say
debating
it. However
somebody.
you want to say it.
One second, Bobby. Just listen to me. Imagine I was debating somebody right now that thought the Earth was flat, and I was like, oh well, we have the imagery from NASA. We have, like the mathematic equations that we could use to calculate the curvature of the surface of the Earth, and of course, gravity wouldn't function on a flat Earth model, as well as the fact that there's a 24-hour sun at the North Pole and the South Pole. Sorry, at the North Pole. Meanwhile, there's not sun elsewhere. I mean, this would obviously indicate a model of the Earth that isn't flat. And I mean, you just said exactly what a flat earther would say. Oh, you could have all the evidence and the facts and the sources, but it doesn't mean that it's
No,
true.
I said that wasn't a fact. I said that. So I'm basically
So you
saying
could have all the
what you're
evidence
saying is
and reasons and
what you're
sources,
saying
but
is
it doesn't mean it's a
speculation.
fact.
What you're saying is speculation.
Yeah, that's exactly what a
that
flat
is.
earther would say when faced
That's
with
what you're
evidence.
saying. It's speculation. That's
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, seriously, that's what a flat earther or 9/11 denier would say when faced with evidence to indicate the
Okay.
contrary of their
Okay.
claim when they have no evidence to justify theirs. This is blatant anti-intellectualism. You're currently engaging in cult because you're a member of a cult.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
a member.
Okay. Then do you have any
I
evidence?
don't agree with everything Donald
Do you
Trump.
have any evidence that the overwhelming impact of his economic policy as a whole will be better off for the average American?
No, I don't, and
Ah.
I wouldn't claim to have the evidence if I didn't actually have it. That's the problem. You guys are you people from the left are saying, oh well, this is going to be bad for the average working American, and you guys don't you don't know that. You don't know that. You're not.
I do.
These aren't real facts that you're
They are
putting
real
up.
facts. Yeah.
No, they're not. You don't.
Would you like me to explain to you how it is a real fact? I mean, I could demonstrate it to you with like very like comprehensible logic.
Yeah. Since you're the economist, let's go.
So one part of his economic plan that really hurts people that make less money is his tariffs. You might say why? It's because tariffs make you pay more for the bare necessities to live. Why is that a fact, may you ask? Because in
Tariffs on what though? Tariffs on what though?
tariffs on all goods imported from countries such as Canada, Mexico, and the EU. and
So
China.
we're getting all of our goods from Canada and Mexico. Come on, man. You know that's not true.
I never said that all goods consumed by Americans are produced in countries such as
You
Canada,
literally
Mexico, and the
just said
EU.
that. You literally just said that. You literally
No,
just said
you
that.
misinterpreted what I said. I said tariffs on all goods imported from countries like Canada, Mexico, and countries in the EU.
Okay. So what is a product that we get from Canada and Mexico that would affect us in our everyday life that we need so bad from them that is going to hurt us on in our pockets that is so bad
Yeah,
it's
sure.
going to tear our pocketbooks
Good
apart.
question. Lumber to build houses, steel to build houses, car parts to build to build cars,
We have all of that here.
aluminium,
We have all of
aluminium
that here.
for a higher price.
Now, what do you mean? If we make it here, that puts more jobs into the American people's communities.
Not necessarily
Like,
because we're no longer
we
focusing.
subsidize.
Not necessarily because we're no longer focusing on comparative advantage, meaning America is producing what we're good at producing, but we're rather forcing American companies to produce things that we're inefficient at creating, meaning overall the productivity of the of the American manufacturing sector slows,
Well, you
which
do
is just
know.
like a general argument against protectionist policies such as tariffs. But I will also say there's other protectionist policy like the investment of capital into the manufacturing sector of America that allows for us to naturally have a higher level of domination in the production of said goods. But I'd like to clarify that it does cause inflation for the American consumer. A good way for you to kind of
Okay.
conceive of this is imagine you went to the grocery store to buy green beans, and there's American green beans and Chinese green beans. The
Hmm.
American green beans were $2. The Chinese green beans were $1.
Yeah,
After
I
you
get
impose
that. I
after
get
you
that.
impose after you impose the tariffs, all of a sudden the Chinese green beans are $2.50. So if you
Yeah,
go back to the store and buy the same Chinese green beans, you're paying an additional $1.50. If you go
yeah,
back to the store and that incentivizes you to buy the American green beans that you wouldn't have bought otherwise without the tariff, that you're still paying another
right.
dollar at the end of the day. So you're just paying
Understand.
more for the bare needs, for the bare
Yes,
necessities to live.
I do understand
And when
that.
you kind of combine that regressive policy that hurts you the less money you make with his tax policy that's sending 75% of the cuts to the top 0.01%, what we have is economic policy that increases levels of income inequity, making the rich richer, making the poor poorer. And this is why I indicated to you my source from the Institute on Taxation and Economics that has been able to kind of detail it with a lot with more precision and more fact than I
Mhm.
did in the last minute and a half.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to, look at that for myself. But I wanted to say one thing. So I believe that these tariffs that we're seeing is more part of a long term plan than the right now um, for the American economy. If you look at it, if we do, I mean, first of all, we've been getting tariffed to hell by every other country
No,
in the world.
no,
That no,
no, no.
so that's not a fact. We haven't been getting tariffed by pretty much every other
No,
country.
we'll just use Canada as an example. Canada, before Donald Trump's inauguration, has tariffed less than 1% of our goods. The way that they've tariffed American goods is they basically say if our imports from America fall under these particular quotas, the goods don't get tariffed at all. If they do fall over the quotas, then they do get tariffed. But they've never fallen over the quotas.
I would have to look into that.
The Thank you for the magic rhythm. Not to mention that, like historically, we've had like trade agreements and deals to reduce tariffs with countries like Canada and Mexico. I mean, like Donald Trump even put us in one of those in his first term, called the USMCA.
So why do you think it's important that we subsidize Canada just because they're our neighbor
How are we subsidizing Canada
by putting over $200 billion into their economy?
with the goods that we export to them?
Sure, either I mean, however you want to put it.
What does it mean to subsidize something?
So we're pretty much stimulating their economy by buying their goods that we don't need, that we can
Okay,
get right
okay,
here
okay.
in
So my question is, why do we buy Canadian goods?
because we don't make them.
We buy Canadian goods because they're less expensive than the same product produced in America.
Well, we
I
don't.
mean, it's called like the free market.
Well, we don't.
It's
Well,
called free market capitalism.
yeah, I get
So
that,
I
but
think
we
it's
don't.
fun.
We don't
I think
make
it's
those.
funny
We
that
don't
like
make
the
those
people on
on
the
the
right
level that
start
they
sound.
do.
One moment. It's funny that people on the right start sounding like far like leftists as soon as we start talking about the implementation of tariffs. They're like, oh my God, I hate the free market. I hate the fact that American goods are produced out of the
You're not gonna
market
put
because other
that in my
countries like
mouth.
Canada have higher
You're not
levels of
gonna put
productive
that in my mouth.
capacity for some goods compared to America.
I'm not
And I
gonna let
think
you put that in my
I
mouth.
think that
That's
Donald
not
Trump
what I.
needs to
That's
bring the
not what I
boot
meant.
down and
That's not
place
what I
these
meant.
useless
No.
restrictions on the free flow of trade and
What you're
create
doing right now is
inefficiencies like
rhetoric.
inflation.
You're using rhetoric right now to put words in my mouth. That's not what it. It's not what I was saying, and that's not what I meant. You know
Okay,
what I was.
so do you think that we should have free trade or not?
Yeah, sure,
Okay, free
sure.
trade means no tariffs.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because tariffs are a restriction on
No, it
free
doesn't.
trade.
No, it doesn't.
So tariffs aren't a restriction on free trade?
What you're trying to do, you're trying to get you're getting caught up in wordplay, and you're not looking at the the reality of things, right?
Well, tell me about the reality of things. Are tariffs a
So the
restriction or
reality of
not?
things is
No,
that
let me ask you a question.
we're subsidizing
Let
our
me ask you a
neighbors.
question. I'm gonna go and put you on mute. And the reality of
You're
things
gonna put me on
are
mute because I
yeah,
want to speak.
no, because I want to speak.
You've been
Are
talking
tariffs
all
a
the time.
restriction or not a restriction on free trade?
You said, are they a restriction or not a restriction?
On free trade, yeah, that was the
They're
question I
not
asked.
I don't believe they're a restriction. No,
Okay, so that you've never taken an economics course in your life, right?
I don't believe that they're a restriction because you can
Okay,
still
what's a
you
restriction?
still have free trade with
What's
tariffs.
a
How can
restriction?
you not have free trade
What's a
with tariffs?
restriction?
What do you mean? You know what a restriction is? I know what a restriction is. What are you talking about?
So tell me what it is.
I'm not going to sit here and break down wordplay to you. We're
Well, I mean,
talking
it's important for
about
us to understand what this word means because you said that a tariff wasn't one. So when we're like speaking in the context of economics, a restriction on the market is just something that prevents it from functioning in a quote unquote free manner. It's just an impediment upon
it can still
upon
function though, brother.
one moment. It's an impediment upon free trade in this sense. And the impediment would be like the fact that we are imposing this tax on imports, saying that in order for this good to be sold in our market, they must first cross this barrier of having to pay a tariff, which is a restriction on free trade, as it's a barrier to entry into the market. Barriers
Do you
to entry
agree
into the
that
market is a restriction on free trade.
okay?
I mean, you could seriously learn this in like a high school economics course.
Okay, but do you agree that free market is still it can still be done with tariffs?
Are you asking me just if like trade under capitalism can still be done?
Yeah.
Yes, but there's restrictions on it.
Okay, there you go. There you go, buddy. I mean, like, what
Do you think that taxation is a restriction on like free market capitalism?
No.
So you just have no. So are you saying that unless a restriction causes a total market failure, that it's not a restriction? So are price caps a restriction on free trade?
No.
Dude, let's just leave it alive, bro.
No.
Hit the road.
I wouldn't.
Hit the road, man. Hit the road.
I mean, you get challenged on something and you don't like what somebody else has to come up here and say.
I mean, just because you're just objectively
you
wrong.
overtalk people. I mean, like, come on.
You're just
bro.
objectively wrong, and you have no
You
fucking
have to
clue what
be
you're
open
talking
and
about.
have a real conversation. Like,
Dude, I'm just being honest. I'm telling you to hit the road.
rambling off a bunch of things that you want to say. You don't want to hear what no one else has to say, and that's like closed-minded shit that no one's ever gonna get nowhere like that.
I'm telling you to.
Your opinion versus somebody else's opinion.
I'm
You're not
telling you
gonna
to.
get nowhere just over talking people, brother.
I'm
And
telling
I'm
you
gonna
to
let
hit
you
the.
talk.
I'm telling you to hit
I'm
the
gonna let you
road.
talk.
I'm telling you to hit the road because you're objectively fucking wrong. You just told me that price caps are not a restriction on free trade. You are obviously not qualified to be having a nuanced economic discussion with me about tariffs if you cannot recognize price caps as a restriction on free trade. We could either talk about something else or you could hit the road.
Okay,
I just don't entertain like willfully intellectually dishonest, misled debate about facts. Okay.
Well, look, I will say this: I'm not a fucking economic guru. Like, I'm not super educated on economics, but
So then act like it. Just be a little bit more humble, man.
I
Like
am.
you were like,
That's what I'm
not at
telling
all.
you
You're
right
not,
now, but
no. You're not being fucking humble at all. You're the one telling me that, oh, Dean, you have the evidence and you have the sources, but it doesn't mean that it's a fact. And no matter what Dean says, I'm right and Dean's wrong, even though you admit to not being that educated about economics. Like, dude, if you admit to not being that educated about economics, well, then just maybe consider what I'm saying, okay? Tariffs are a restriction on free trade, as are price caps, as is taxation. The reason it's a restriction on free trade is because it's a barrier to entry into the market, and any barrier to entry would act as a restriction. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, sure.
And then your counter argument was that, well, because trade can still exist, it must mean it's not restricted. That's not true. You're equivocating, right?
Okay.
Trade can still exist in a restricted sense, and a restriction doesn't necessarily imply total market failure, okay? Because you're saying unless it causes a total market failure, it's not a restriction. Okay, well, we obviously know that's wrong because price caps don't cause total market failures all the time. They just cause inefficiencies, such as a surplus, right? But it is still yet a restriction.
Okay, I'll let you have that one. Let's talk about something else then. I want to talk about what you said about Ukraine and why we're giving them, why you don't think that the money that we gave them is enough. Why do you think,
Why? I mean, I didn't say that, but I definitely believe it. You did
why
just
do you
put
believe
words on
that?
my mouth, but at least they were right.
Why do you believe that?
Because I think that we should have been supporting Ukraine significantly more. I think that fighting Russian expansionism is a noble cause, not only for the human rights of
Well,
individuals that are getting ethnically cleansed and annexed, such as Ukrainians, but it's also good for the national security of America and other NATO countries because Russia grows stronger the larger they are.
so do you believe that Palestine, we should have been giving Palestine that type of money as well?
Unironically, I do, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I would say to that we should focus on us and putting that money back into us instead of investing it in other foreign nations that we have no real interest in. Um, I, I'm not saying we
Yeah,
shouldn't
we do.
support.
We have
I'm saying,
interest in protecting Ukraine. It's a concern of our own national security.
right, they're not a part of NATO.
But what happens when Russia grows and expands and they get wins with rebuilding the USSR, they become more of a threat against NATO.
So you believe that Russia's expanding and just trying to rebuild USSR? That's what you truly believe that?
That's what Putin said in his interview with Tucker Carlson.
I didn't hear that. I watched that interview too. I didn't hear him say he was
He
trying to
spoke
rebuild.
for 45 minutes about his justification for his annexation of Ukraine was because it used to be a part of the USSR, and there's a lot of individuals that live in Ukraine that are ethnically Russian.
Yeah, but I don't believe he said he was trying to rebuild the USSR. I believe he
His
was
justification was that it was a part of USSR, meaning it's his rightful territory.
right because that was Russian territory. Regardless of however you say USSR, that doesn't mean he's trying to rebuild the USSR because it was Russian territory.
Dude, dude, dude,
Come on, bro.
dude,
Come on.
come the
Come
fuck
on.
on.
Come on now.
Come the fuck on.
So just
Dude,
because something was a part of Russian
dude. No, stop
territory,
talking.
he's
Stop
trying to
talking.
rebuild
Stop
the
talking.
USSR.
Stop
Get the
talking.
fuck out of here.
Dude,
You're
listen
fucking
to
tripping.
listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Are you ready?
I heard you loud and clear, and that's
I'm
wrong.
gonna say it again.
You're wrong. You're wrong, brother. You're wrong.
Get it all out. Let me know when you're done.
You're wrong. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Putin justified his invasion, annexation, and reclamation of Ukraine by saying that he has a right to the land as it is a part of the USSR. This means that his justification of his invasion of Ukraine to annex the state is to rebuild what once was the USSR. If it wasn't, then his justification for the annexation wouldn't be that Ukraine was part of the USSR.
Well, he also talked about neo-Nazism as well. So, I mean, like, there was a lot of different things that he said in that interview. So, I mean, like, what are we
Do you
saying?
think that Russia had a right to invade Ukraine?
No, I can't speak on that because I don't know. I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Yo, did Hitler have a right to genocide like 12 million people?
No, I don't believe
So
that.
then why does Putin have the right to
Because
genocide and ethnically cleanse hundreds and thousands?
There's a lot of history that me or you probably don't know about. And so I'm not even gonna get into that. I just
Oh my God!
what I'm saying
History,
is
history,
what I'm saying is
history,
we need to focus on
history to
America.
justify. Wait, so do
We
you
need to
think?
focus on America. Point
Uh,
blank. Period.
okay, even in the face of genocide and ethnic
Blank.
cleansing,
Period.
let me ask you a question: if you're going to hold to this claim, point blank, period, should the U.S. have involved ourselves on the European front of World War II to fight the Nazis?
That's different though. Come on, man. That was a
Why?
world war. That was a world war.
We did not need to involve ourselves on the European front.
It was a world war.
So do you support the fact that we did?
I mean, I don't have an opinion on it either way. Either
I
way,
mean, just answer my question. We spent a shit ton of money fighting Nazis. Did you support that?
if I mean honestly, if we didn't have no interest over there, I'd say no. We shouldn't have then. If we didn't have any
You
interest,
should go. You should go tell that
worry
to your
about America.
employer.
We worry
You
about America. That's what
you
I
should
think.
go. You should go tell that to your employer. See if you keep your job.
I mean, what is my employer going to say?
Yeah,
They
because
can't fire me for my own.
hey, I have a question. There's only one demographic of individuals in America that would agree with you. Would you like to know who they are?
Who's that?
Neo-Nazis.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding.
No, I say that we focus on America. Period. That's what I say. And at first, I told you I didn't have an opinion.
Can you name like another demographic of individuals outside of neo-Nazis that would agree with you?
American citizens that agree that we should focus on America first and not all of these foreign other countries that we have no interest in.
Cite me one prominent figure in American politics that isn't a Nazi that agrees with you.
I mean, go around, do a poll, ask people.
I mean, would you be able to go
Ask
find me a
people,
source of like one American historian, one American professor, even if they're conservative or on the right, that isn't a Nazi that agrees with you?
American citizens, if you did a poll, I guarantee you the number of American citizens would say focus on America.
Okay. So then it should be fine. It should be easy to find an historian, a professor, et cetera, that agrees that we shouldn't have fought the Germans in World War II.
I'm not worried about historians and professors. I think you're
so you're demonstrating my point. The only people that agree with you are Nazis. Great.
okay. So I'm a Nazi now.
Yeah, I never called you a Nazi. I just said the only people that agree with you are Nazis.
So right, but you're saying that
Did you just self-report?
ideology as a Nazi, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. Like, come on now.
Wait. Are you disputing that Nazis didn't want America to be involved in the European front of World War II?
Who said that?
Oh, yes, you did, because you just called me crazy for describing that you hold to Nazi ideology. That is Nazi ideology. It is.
So America first is a Nazi ideology.
America
first.
Well, I mean, to be
Come
more specific, do you actually know where the term America first comes from?
Where does it come from? I'll let you educate.
In American history, it was coined by the KKK. In modern American history, it was coined by the Groypers, such as Nick Fuentes, and other neo-Nazis. So actually, yeah.
Well, I would have to look that up.
Dude, please, yeah, no. Research the history of America first, in American history and in modern American history.
And even if it did, even if that
in American history, it's coined by the KKK. In modern American history, it's coined by neo-Nazis. Yeah.
We're speaking on America now.
Yeah, I am. Modern American history, America now. That term is coined by neo-Nazis. Yep.
Whatever, bro.
Are you familiar with like the Groyper movement, Nick Fuentes? Like
yeah.
Their movement is called America First.
So you think those guys are Klan members and neo-Nazis?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you see
I wouldn't disagree because I don't know. I haven't.
So I debated Nick Fuentes, and you want to know what he told me?
What did he tell you?
He'd prefer Hitler to be the president over any woman.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I don't.
Is there anything else that you want to go over here before I move on to the next guest?
No, I think we've said enough.
We're gotta move on. We got military 77 loading up. All right, we're gonna get that next guest up in here right now. Kindle, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. You were phenomenal. Thank you so much. And then Gigi with the $5 as well, and then Jessica with the $5 too. What's going on, military? Did you vote for Trump?
Hello.
Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, what time is it?
For me?
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 o'clock. I'm in Norway.
Well, you didn't vote for Trump. We're going
Yeah.
to go to move on to the next guest. Everybody go and give us a minute. We got LTTL in the queue. We got him loading up into the box right now, quite frankly. What is up, LTTL? Did he vote for Trump?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
I
sir.
can hear you. Hey, what's up? Did he vote for Trump, man?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, sir. I did.
Okay, well, before we start our debate, I'm going to go live on YouTube, so just give me a second here, but let's hop into our discussion, man. I can't wait, quite frankly. For everybody tuning in on YouTube, what's going on? It's good to have you in here with me today. We're going to go ahead and hop straight into the debate. So we got 100 Trump supporters lined up, and we're going to take them down one by one. We have our first Trump supporter on the line. Their name is LTTL. Welcome in, man. Go ahead and tell us why you voted for Trump.
Yes, sir. I voted for him on the tariff side of things. I like his tariffs, but for a different reason than a lot of other people like. Um, as well, I thought before that his economics were a little bit better, but now I don't know. They're doing too well. I know they kind of go hand in hand, but like I said, I think I have a different view on tariffs than a lot of other people have.
You just contradicted yourself because you just told us
I
that.
did it.
So you just told
Yes,
us that
sir.
you liked
Yeah.
his tariffs, which is economic policy, and then you went on to tell us that you're now doubting his economic policy, which is his tariffs. So you're basically telling us that you liked him for. Oh, wait, are you saying that you regret your vote for Trump?
Not necessarily. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, real quick. What is a tariff?
Yeah, it's a tax on goods imported.
Okay, and why do you support his tariffs?
Yeah, so like I said, it's for a different reason. So, I mean, the longevity plan, like the long-term plan, I guess a lot of people are saying it will bring jobs to America. Do you disagree with that?
I think there is an argument to be made that that's wrong, and the only reason why I say that is, well, for two reasons. First reason is it creates a lot of inefficiencies and reduces productivity in American manufacturing because it shifts our focus away from comparative advantage, which essentially means we're just producing the things that we're good at producing,
Yeah.
to focusing on trying to produce everything via force. Not to mention that these tariffs have also decreased consumer confidence in the market, which means people are spending less money, which is, kind of handed to America barreling towards a recession. The Atlanta Fed, before Donald Trump imposed his tariffs, projected a 4% growth in the American GDP in the first financial quarter of 2025. Now they're projecting a 3% recess. And we also have Goldman Sachs increasing the probability of a recession in the near American future. So for those two reasons, it is forgoing any level of comparative advantage and forces our producers to make things they're not good at making. It causes inflation and it reduces consumer confidence. I think that in the long term, it could actually reduce jobs in American markets.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm on the other side. And out of curiosity, do you know anyone else that has ever tried this kind of tariff plan? I cannot actually put my name on any of them, so I don't really know.
Yeah, before 1920, we, America only operated off of tariffs. And tariffs
Okay.
have been imposed by administrations, since. Like, for instance, under Donald Trump's first term, he imposed tariffs on China. What did that lead to? A reduction in U.S. agricultural exports because it started a trade war with China and bankrupted
Right.
American farmers. And it was actually so bad that he had to bail them out with a near $30 billion bill through Congress called the Farm Bill.
Gotcha. Okay, so no, I was just saying, like in recent years, like this big of tariffs. I know you said that Trump did in his first year with China. Now, that's kind of my question. I mean, like, I'm big on like protecting the kids and everything. Do you think it would be beneficial? And I know it sounds crazy.
On
I
protecting the
know. I see
kids?
your eyes. Yeah, yes, sir. So let me explain. So, do you think in like the perfect world, he puts a tariffs? Do they hurt the economy for a little bit? Sure. That's why I'm not on the side of the economic plans. But say in 3 4 years it brings more jobs to America, that would definitely
Oh, you're lagging bad, man.
I don't want to call like what it is, but the child work laws in China, like 'cause there's a lot of that going on right now. Do you not agree with that? Like if it brought more jobs to America, would it help lower from a lot of different countries as far as those child labor laws or whatever you want to call them? But I
So
think
I
you know what I'm trying to
actually,
get at.
so I actually think that we should tariff the shit out of certain companies that employ children. Okay, and like violate what we would view as ethical standards for child employment.
Right.
All right. I think that we should tariff the shit out of companies that produce goods with the use of that with the use of said means, and I don't really
Right.
think anybody would disagree with that. But
Right.
I also think that would mean tariffing the shit out of some goods produced in Florida. And that doesn't speak for 99% of the tariffs that Donald Trump is implementing. I mean, he's not implemented his blanket tariffs with an intention to reduce our, the sustainability of the American economy on goods produced by children. Like, for instance, Canada, for instance, has better labor laws as it would apply to everybody, including children, than America. Why is it
Right.
tariff them?
Yeah, no, I know that's not his intent, but I was just asking, do you think that would be some good that could come out of it?
MC, thank you so much for the $16 and the 66 cents over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, MC. Well, we already had tariffs imposed on China under Donald Trump's first term and under Biden and Harris, so this wouldn't be an additional good reaped by his new policies as tariffs have already existed.
Okay, gotcha. So you're saying it probably wouldn't help at the end of the day.
No.
No. Okay. I guess I disagree with that.
What? We
But
just
not like
we've already
heavily
had tariffs on
disagree.
China. We've already had tariffs on China, man.
On everything coming in?
We had tariffs on a lot of goods produced in China.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll have to get myself knowledgeable on that. But yeah, I guess I like your idea of just tariffing the shit out of the people that
Wait,
do.
so
But
I just
isn't
want to
that
clarify.
is
Can I
that
ask you a question real quick?
yes, sir, go ahead.
If you care about like ethical standards for the treatment of children, how come you support
Hmm.
Donald Trump? He wants to ethnically cleanse 2.1 million Palestinians off the Gaza Strip, forcefully evicting them from their home and relocating them to countries such as Egypt and Jordan, which would include the forceful expulsion and violation of human rights of Palestinian children.
And he said that?
Yeah.
Where did he say that? Is there a
In a
source for
press
that?
conference with Benjamin Netanyahu, and then he went on to post an AI video on Instagram, Twitter, and other platforms depicting what the Gaza Strip will look like after he kicks all the Palestinians out and builds a Riviera. Of course, he's also spoken about this at length on Truth Social.
Gotcha. And how many Palestinians live in where did you say in
An
Gaza now?
estimated 2.1 million.
And he wants to get rid of them all out of there?
Yeah, wants to get them all out and give them no right to return.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, well,
No,
I mean, if you care about the living standard of children, why is that not a red
mhm.
line for you?
No, absolutely. No, I would say if, and I mean, did he say this before that before when he was running?
Well, I mean, he did say that he was the most pro-Israel president we've ever had, and that although Kamala Harris was also pro-Israel, she was not as pro-Israel as him, and in fact, she was going to employ Hamas radicals to run her foreign policy, and that Biden was a bad Palestinian. So I think he definitely let us know.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything about that until after he got elected in the sense of that.
Well, I'm
Uh,
giving you quotes from his debate with Biden. I'm giving you quotes from his debate with Kamala Harris, and I'm giving
so
you
what was
quotes
what
from his
was his
first
quote
term.
exactly from Kamala Harris?
That he was the most pro-Israel president we've ever had, and that Kamala Harris was going to have Hamas running her foreign policy, even though she was also pro-Israel.
Yeah.
And then he's also said at other points that he really disagreed with the restrictions on some weapon shipments to Israel, and that he
Okay.
didn't support humanitarian aid to Gaza. But in retrospect, now that you have access to this information, do you now regret
Right.
your vote for Trump?
No, I do not.
Okay, so then don't act like you care about ethical concerns of working conditions for children in China when you don't care about the ethical concerns of human rights for children in Palestine.
No, I think I do.
Okay, so then what was Kamala Harris going to do that was significantly worse than the violation of 2.1 million individuals' human rights living on the Gaza Strip?
I mean that was not something until after he got elected. Like he didn't say, I'm going to get
I
rid of
know, but
two.
I'm asking you now in retrospect if you regret your if you
Oh,
regret
I
your
see
vote
what you're
and you
saying.
drop your support. So
I mean,
but
what was
still yet you
Kamala
don't.
going to
So
do?
then Colin to Israel and Palestine.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, she was going to continue the same pro-Israel agenda that was present under the Biden-Harris administration, which I disagree with. However, when comparing her position to Trump's, Trump's was significantly worse.
Okay, so and what was their stance on it? I guess for Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, some humanitarian aid to Gaza, with a lot of support to Israel, but with some limits on big weapon shipments and really heavy
Right.
bombs.
Okay, and what do you think about that? You said you don't agree with it?
No, I don't agree with any pro-Israel policy. But Donald Trump was significantly more pro-Israel than her. So in what way was Kamala Harris worse than Donald Trump?
I mean, I guess we couldn't see. I guess she could say whatever she wants, and she's going to do whatever she wants, just like Trump did as well. So I mean, there's always that flip side. Is if she was in office, she could have became a lot more pro-Israel. I mean, they both said things on stage that they probably
It's
didn't mean,
actually
or
it's likely that she would have become more pro-Palestinian because of a growing virtue of growing pro-Palestinian virtues on the left.
yeah. I
I would
mean,
argue that a shift more towards the left was likely after her inauguration. But I just want to clarify: do you have any reason why he was a better presidential candidate compared to her?
yeah. I think a lot of it, not necessarily policy or anything, but I think just, and maybe it was just because of the lackluster amount of time she had. I was definitely open. I had never voted. I'm 23, um, but I had never voted before. Um, but I think I would have been more open if she had more time. I just wasn't. I guess I wasn't.
Okay,
I
so
think she
you
did
can't
good.
name a reason why he was a better presidential candidate?
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay, okay. Well, so what is it?
Let me think. Um,
If you can't, that's all good. I mean, there's other things that we could talk about. Like we could talk about all of the failures of the Trump administration in the last 2 months.
yeah, I think the biggest reason, and I know this is probably not going to be popular. I think when she said that she wouldn't change anything from the prior 4 years, I think that was a. Oh, is that a hair in your sandwich, man?
Yeah, it is. You see that?
Yeah, throw it out.
It's probably my hair. Go ahead.
Okay, then you can deviate me. Yeah, I guess when she said she wouldn't change anything from the past 4 years under the Biden administration, I guess that kind of threw a curveball, as it did, I guess, for a lot of other American voters.
Okay, what was your least favorite Biden-Harris policy?
Um, can name one.
So then why the fuck would that throw you off of voting for her?
Well, because I mean, like just general living, I don't feel like was very great under Biden and Harris. I wasn't like I didn't have more money in my pockets. I had more money when I was not under Trump, but I guess when Trump was president. Um, yeah, I feel like the economy was better under Trump, and it's very skewed just because of COVID and everything. It was kind of hard to gauge what was right, what was wrong. Um, but yeah, I guess the general feeling, as in a lot of other American people did say,
Okay,
kind
so are
of the
you
same
saying
thing.
that they were a bad presidency because under their term you didn't think the economy was good?
No, I wouldn't say it was bad presidency. I
Okay,
think,
so then what's the blame on the Biden-Harris administration? Like when we're going to be evaluating her statement, oh, I wouldn't change anything from the Biden-Harris administration. She's saying that
yeah,
she wouldn't change anything from what they did, and I thought that they did good with domestic policy. They passed the PACT
yeah,
Act, they passed the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the Chips and Science Act. They had a shit ton of really good domestic policy that served to the interests of the American people. I thought that their administration was one of the best administrations in modern American history for their domestic policy. Okay, and when you
yeah.
come up here and you tell me that the biggest reason why you voted for the rapist over Kamala Harris, the biggest reason why you voted for the guy that wants to ethnically cleanse 2.1 million Palestinians off the Gaza Strip compared to Kamala Harris, the biggest reason you want this guy that is going to decrease the purchasing power of anybody making under $395,000 per year and serves as a constitutional crisis now and in 2020 when you try to rig the outcome of the election is that, well, you didn't agree with her statement that she wouldn't have changed much from the Biden-Harris administration, and you can't name one bad thing the Biden-Harris administration did. I'm likely to probably believe that you've fallen victim to some Republican propaganda.
Well, I think another one I didn't like was the border. I would call it a crisis in a sense. I thought that there was a lot of not good stuff going on. And yeah, I mean, I live near close to New York. New York City itself was almost a ghost town, other than immigrants, for a couple weeks. They were in the streets fighting over
Okay,
clothing.
name one bad immigration policy the Biden-Harris administration passed, or like one bad move they made insofar as rescinding policy passed by Trump.
Well, no, I think the just opening the borders in the sense was,
How'd they
and
open
I can't
that?
name the policy
How'd they open the borders?
directly. Well, I mean, just I feel like they lessened security at the borders.
How? What
There was
security did they lessen?
the borders were just less secure. I mean, there was
What did they do to
tons
make
more
them less
people coming
secure?
in.
What? Yeah, what was less secure specifically? What did they do to make it less secure?
Well, I guess they took security off the borders. They took people off the borders.
Can you give me evidence of this? Because they actually funded Border Patrol more than Trump.
Yeah, but Trump has more security at the borders now.
Okay, so you're saying compared to Donald Trump's administration now? No, you're shifting the goalpost. You said that they lessened security in reference to his first administration. So what security did they lessen?
Well, the dollar became a lot less valuable. So I mean,
Oh,
you can
so
talk,
they're responsible for a weakened border policy by causing inflation. So how do they cause inflation?
No. I didn't say that. I'm just saying, like, when you're talking numbers, correct? When you say they put more money into the border, like funded more money into it.
Yeah, but don't pivot off that. I just want you to
I'm
tell
not
me what
pivoting.
they. I want you to tell me what they did to lessen security at the southern border.
I mean, I'd have to research that, but I mean, there was a lot more crossings underneath them. Is that not true?
So your argument is because there's a lot more crossings under their administration, they passed bad immigration policy. Okay, well, here's my counter argument. Because under Donald Trump's administration, in April 2020, we had the highest level of unemployment in the last 100 years. That must have meant that Donald Trump passed unemployment policy. Did you guys just ban the vegan teacher? Oh, bruh. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that was during COVID. So I mean, that's a little tougher
Oh,
of
so
an
you're telling me
argument.
that I can't just blame anything that happens under his administration on him. So why can you blame anything that happens under the Biden-Harris administration on Biden and Harris?
Because that was controllable. I mean,
Okay, so tell me if it was controlled by them. Tell me what they did to reduce security.
it's maybe not what they did to reduce. It's maybe what they should have done to secure it more.
Oh, would you say that they probably should have passed a bill to strengthen security by funding courts on the border more to expedite legal claims migration to naturally reduce undocumented entry?
Maybe that's the goal, but that's not what it did.
Okay, well, actually, they tried to, and then
They tried to, but yeah,
then
but it
Donald
was just for more
Trump.
judges.
Then Donald Trump called the Republicans in Congress and told them to torpedo this bill because it was gaining speed in Congress.
And we're the source of that he called them.
Yeah, sure. Chuck Schumer spoke about this on CNN. We also had Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz speak about this on Fox News, as well as Langford, the Republican that was endorsed by Trump that drafted the bill, condemned him on Fox News as well. And then we
Gotcha.
also had Donald Trump self-admit this at a rally in Nevada where he said if the border bill fails, to blame it on him.
Gotcha. So I mean, I guess do you think that in direct correlation to the bill, it would reduce crossings?
Oh, it would actually absolutely reduce undocumented entry into America. What do you think is the root cause of undocumented migration into our country?
I mean, if the border's left open, then it's just
Answer my question. What is the root cause of undocumented migration into our country?
obviously not being able to get through the legal system fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. Really slow, bad legal system. So the only way to reduce undocumented migration in the long term is to expedite the legal processes of migration, which is something that the bipartisan border bill would have done in some sense or another.
Yeah,
Step
I
in the
mean,
right direction. Therefore, Donald Trump torpedoing that under the Biden-Harris administration impacted their ability to effectively reduce undocumented migration in the long term, while he was actively advocating for it, partaking in actions that led to more undocumented migration in the long term.
so wouldn't we be in the same? We would agree on that both.
We would
both
agree that
parties-
Donald Trump actively advocated for more undocumented migration. We would.
No. I'm
No,
asking.
okay. Well, that's exactly what happened when he torpedoed the bipartisan border bill.
Well,
There would
See,
have
but
been less undocumented migration in the long term if it was passed. He said no. I don't want it to pass because
I
the
don't think
Democrats
that's
will look
true.
good.
I don't think that's true. I mean,
Whoa, wait! You don't think that making the legal systems of migration faster and
How much
less
faster?
expensive
Do you
would
know how many
reduce
more-
undocumented migration at all?
how many? I mean, maybe very small percentage, but like, how many more judges were they going to hire?
Okay. So then you'd agree with me that Donald Trump advocated for undocumented migration to go up in the long term, even if it was just by a very small percentage.
No, not if you offset it by putting more security at the borders.
No. So he didn't advocate for that when he overturned the bipartisan border bill.
No, sir, because I mean, when
Dude,
when
you're
Biden was in
unreal. Dude, honestly, at this point, I don't even want to have continued conversation with you if you're gonna be so dishonest.
No, I'm not being dishonest. I'm just saying there's always the other story to it. I mean, when Biden was in office,
Okay,
you
what's the
could
other
pay.
story? What was the justification for torpedoing the bipartisan border
Okay,
bill?
we can agree on that. It could have helped very very little. I think it could have helped very little. I think
Okay,
there should be
can you name one policy that Donald Trump has implemented or wants to implement or has ever implemented to
no,
reduce
no.
undocumented migration in the long
I
term?
cannot. I
Okay,
cannot.
so then you'd agree that the Biden-Harris administration was more effective than Trump at reducing undocumented migration into America in the long term.
In the very long term, maybe. Not for the short term.
Why the fuck does the short term matter? Okay, because the short term fixes, like deploying the National Guard to the border or like illegally striking down asylum cases, that's just putting a band aid on a 4-inch incision. It does nothing to fix the real issues.
Same reason for the tariffs. I mean, it's a short term problem if it possibly produces more jobs, and yeah, I
Wait, you
mean, in
agree
the
with
long
things
term,
that wait, you agree with things that help the American economy?
yeah, I would say
So then
yes.
you disagree with mass deportation because that hurts the American economy, and actually offering all
Mm,
undocumented migrants in America that have not committed violent crimes a pathway to residency or citizenship would help the American economy. In fact, it'd help the American economy more than tariffs. Undocumented migrants right now pay $100 billion per taxes a year. They're productive providers. They work
hmm
millions of jobs across our country to reindustrialize the manufacturing sector. While also, migrants as a whole are projected to add $1.7 trillion to the American GDP in the course of the next 10 years. And if we were to offer them a pathway to residency or citizenship, they'd have more bargaining power, which means they'd be getting paid higher wages at the same jobs they're working now, meaning they'd be paying more in taxes, spending more in our economy to increase GDP growth, even more than they already do. So, in other
Yes, sir.
words,
That's in a
mass
perfect world.
amnesty is better for the manufacturing sector
Mm,
of America and the American economy as a whole than tariffs are.
no, in the perfect world, sure, but I mean, they're
No, that's in this
also.
world. I just gave you facts from this world, sir. Don't
y-
try to pull
y-
that bullshit on me.
No, I'm not pulling any bullshit on you. I'm just saying that
Undocumented
that's not.
migrants pay $100 billion in taxes in this
y-
world.
Yes, that is true, but it also doesn't mean that they're going to get paid higher because there's a lot of undocumented migrants that are getting paid very unlivable wages. Like,
Why do undocumented migrants get lower wages compared to U.S. citizens for the same job?
me personally, what I would say is because the Americans don't want to work that job. I don't think it's fair
No,
at all.
I'm saying like the Americans that do work the same job, undocumented migrants get lower wages than them. Why?
What job is that?
Any job. It's a common fact that undocumented migrants have lower wages on average compared to citizens.
Where is that source? I don't agree with that.
What? I'm giving you a Republican argument right now.
No, I don't
Sure,
care
I
if it's
mean, sure,
Republican, Democrat.
sure. I could give you a source. That's fine.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, like I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican. I
Okay, yeah. This is coming from Science Direct. Look up the wage penalty to undocumented migrants. They say that the average wage gap between undocumented and legal immigrants or citizens is over 35%.
and that's coming from who?
Science Direct.
Is
Also
that
from Ecnofact, from Brookings, from scholars at Harvard, from the Committee on Education and the Workforce, from like the House and the Senate and our government. It's coming from the Center for American Progress.
yeah, I don't know why that's the case. I don't like I said, I don't
I
know
do.
why.
I do.
Why is that?
It's because they have less bargaining power compared to citizens because they don't have legal status in America.
Okay.
Unions exist to give people more bargaining power against their employer to achieve better benefits or higher wages. More
Right, okay.
bargaining power equals higher wages. So if we
Okay.
were to give this a very productive demographic of America already, undocumented migrants, a pathway to residency or citizenship, that's also giving them a pathway to more bargaining power, which means they'll be more productive than they already are today if we give them that pathway, meaning that mass deportation hurts the economy. Meanwhile, mass amnesty helps the economy even more than they already are right now. Boom. Look at that. All of a sudden, you are either an anti-American traitor if you support mass deportation, or you do place the interests of America first as well as everybody in it by supporting mass amnesty.
Yeah, I'm just
Boom.
talking about like I'm saying unlivable wages. I'm saying not paying taxes and they're getting paid by
Un-
typically.
Undocumented migrants pay taxes. I'm okay with
Yes, I know they
conceding.
do. ITIN number. They pay
I'm
taxes.
okay with conceding that they're probably less likely to compared to citizens.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. So
but once
that
again, the
like
reason why that is because they're undocumented. Mass amnesty fixes that too.
Yes, but how do you get that? Like, is it just by hiring more judges? You think that would definitely, I guess, like, is that
Wait, how would mass amnesty be pulled off?
yeah.
Oh yeah, by like having like buildings in every city saying undocumented migrants come here, we will give you citizenship for free.
I
It'd
mean,
actually be easier to pull off than mass deportation because there's millions of undocumented migrants in America. Are they cooperative and willing to be deported?
right. Now, I guess
No,
I guess
would they be cooperative and willing to become a citizen? Yeah, so it's actually more practical and feasible than mass deportation.
you're trying to get a got me moment here, and it's just not working because I don't agree with Trump on it. I don't agree with the Democratic Party. I don't think
Okay,
hiring.
so you do disagree with mass deportation, and you rather agree with offering undocumented migrants a pathway to residency or citizenship?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. They're
Okay, all right.
like,
Well, congrats, you're leftist.
no, I don't agree because the left didn't really do much of that, anyways. They hired
That's
they.
why that's why I said leftist.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, congrats. You're further left than the Democrat Party.
Yeah, so is that where you stand as well? Like, what's the fix to that then?
Yeah, I hold a
If
position
neither
that's further left than the
party is
Democrat Party for sure.
okay, so what's the fix to it then? Would you say a complete reform? Like, because in a perfect world, sure, you just hire more judges.
The Democrat Party is closer to what I would perceive as the best possible immigration policy than the Republican Party. The Republican Party right now is advocating for no reform in the legal means of entry into our country to make them safer and faster, as well as they want to deport every undocumented migrant in America. Meanwhile, the left is advocating for some reform to expedite the legal means of entry into America, and Biden did try to do mass amnesty for some migrants, as well as he approved work visas for over 538 undocumented migrants in America, 1,000 undocumented migrants in America, meaning that he's closer to these goals ideologically speaking. When we're voting for a presidential candidate, we want to run a comparative advantage to see which candidate is closer to our ideals. In this sense,
Okay.
Democratic candidates are closer to the ideal that we share of mass amnesty over mass deportation than Republican candidates. However, on a political spectrum, this belief would actually fall farther left than the DNC. So you just went from being a Trump supporter to being farther left than the DNC.
So you don't agree on that topic? I mean, you don't agree that that's a fair thing to disagree with one party? I mean, we disagree with both parties.
Well, I just think it's like
Why'd
funny,
you vote for Kamala then?
you told me that you voted for Trump because of immigration, and now you're just trying to
No,
convince me
I
that
did not. I
immigration
did
is.
not say that. I did
So
not
why
say
are we
that.
talking about immigration at all? Oh wait, I remember why we're talking about immigration. You told me that you
Because of the
didn't vote
border
for Kamala
crossings.
Harris because of the immigration policy under the Biden-Harris administration, and now
No,
I've
I
just
said because of
perfectly
the border
described to you.
crossings.
Oh,
Border
okay.
crossings.
And what you then blamed on the immigration policy of Biden and Harris.
I didn't blame it on the immigration policy.
Okay,
I
so then
just
why did
said
you not vote for Harris?
there's other reasons.
Wait. Why was immigration a reason you did not vote for Harris?
Because of the open border. I think there should be a
Wait,
very fair
why do you
way.
blame the open border in the last 4 years, of quote unquote open border, on Kamala Harris?
Because it was very easy to just pay the schmortel to get you over, and there was no
What?
scarce of. You could pay the. I don't want to say the word. I don't want to get you kicked off or anything, but
What
the.
does this have to do with Kamala Harris, and why you blame it on her?
Well, I blame it on the Biden
Why?
administration. Uh, because that. Let me think of why I blame it on them.
Right?
Let me.
Probably should have done that already, but it's okay.
Well, no, we were talking the whole time. I can't
Yeah,
think and talk like you.
makes
Not as
sense,
good
man.
as you.
I get it.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not
No, I
as high
appreciate you.
tech.
God. Hey, how about
Um,
while you think I'm going to thank a couple donors? Brianna,
yeah.
thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. I do really appreciate you for the love, Brianna. Everybody, please show some love to Brianna in the chat. Then also Janine with the $7 on Venmo saying that you're awesome. You're awesome, Janine. Then Max with the $7.77. Thank you so much, Max. Why aren't more Dims lining up to follow Brooker's lead? I actually did see some Dims speaking in Congress saying that they would. I really hope that they do. Ken, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Ken. Everybody, please show some love to Ken down below in that comment section. Thank you. Oscar with the $11.11. Huge shout out to Oscar. Says, I wish I could spawn Uncrustables too. Dude, I'd be spawning these in right and left. In fact, I have another bite left. Jesse, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo to buy food without hair in it. He put food in quotation marks. You fucking silly goose. Thanks for the $10, Jesse. Chelsea with the 20, and then MSC with the $16 and the 66 cents. You are phenomenal. I'd also like to thank Amber with the $10, Amber with another 5, so Amber with a 20, then Amber with a 2, then Alexia with a 5 over on YouTube Super Chat. Huge shout out to Amber and Alexia. Then Summer with a 5 over on PayPal. I appreciate everyone so much for the donations. You guys are awesome. Somebody in my YouTube comment section just said, it's wild to pay this loser. Get fucked. Go ahead.
Whoa. All right, I got my thought in my head. I think the problem was with the quote unquote open borders. I don't want to call it open borders. I'm gonna just call it open borders for the talking talking point. I think it was because of the incentives of getting here even if you were illegal. There was no incentive of getting here legally if you were going to get money if you came illegally.
Yeah, what federal programs gave undocumented immigrants money?
I mean, there was housing. There was a lot of different things.
No, there wasn't.
I mean, I don't know if we're just running off of different networks, but if you watch
Wait, what housing was given to undocumented migrants? What?
I mean, there was entire hotels that were just
Oh, like the Roosevelt Hotel in New York?
I couldn't tell you exactly which one, but
You're
I watched
You're confusing asylum seekers for undocumented immigrants.
Yes, but
the
it was
individuals that got like benefits that you're referencing are legal immigrants.
because of asylum.
Yes, asylum is a legal documented process of migration. They get
No,
benefits, and I think they should.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think I don't think it was all asylum seekers.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was wrong. Sorry,
Where's the source of
I'm
that?
so sorry for cutting you off. Wait,
No, you're okay.
Where's it? Where's the source on that?
Yeah.
I mean, do I want to just explain to you like logically how this would work, or do
Yes,
I want
please-
to give you a
please-
source? Wait,
Please do.
no, boo, because I'm just denying the claim that you're making. You give me a source that it benefited undocumented immigrants.
Whoa. Okay.
Ah,
No, that's okay. Give me a few seconds. I can't type
Okay.
as fast as you either.
no, that's good. I'll give you a few seconds.
Appreciate it.
Take your time. David, thank you for the $10 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much for the love. David, you're awesome. David says, keep up the great work, learning a lot from listening to you. I appreciate you so much for the love, David. You're awesome. I'm being a little hard on this guy, but he's being pretty respectful. I need to calm it down a little bit. Seb with the $5 over on Venmo says, Dean, your lives always line up perfectly with me going to the gym after work. Dude, get a good pump in, Seb. Get a good pump in. Awesome. Thank you for the $5. You're phenomenal. Okay. All right. Phenomenal. Elisa's guess is level-headed. Says somebody in the YouTube. Yeah, no, he is level-headed. He's respectful. I know. I need to stop being so defensive to it's like respectful guesses. It's just because I'm human and I get myself so worked up from the not respectful, rage baity, insane guests, and it's just hard to like. I need to have a guard set up for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're being really rude to me, Dean. I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
Don't say something rude again.
Is that true? Hey, if you're one of the 5.7 thousand people in the TikTok stream, guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. While he's looking for the source, we're going to go ahead and get another guest up here just to have a conversation in the meantime. We got Molly Girl loading in. Ella, thank you for the $5 donation over on the YouTube stream. What's up, Molly? Did you vote for Trump?
No, I'm sorry. I'm so sick and I just got out of bed and I somehow hit request.
No worries, Molly. Don't even worry about that. Honestly, I've done that a lot. There's been a lot of points where I've accidentally joined in queues on other lives, so I'm very sympathetic to that. No worries. What's going on, Kay? Did you vote for Trump? All right, Kay. Oh, wait, Kay is here. Kay, hop back in the queue if you voted for Trump. I kicked you because you didn't speak for the first 3 seconds. I'm so sorry. We're gonna move on to the next guest. We got Jaker loading up at the queue. Oh, this dude has like a huge fucking fish in his profile picture. He's definitely a Trump supporter. Yo, Jaker, I got a question for you, bud.
What's up?
Are you single?
I am not.
Well, when you were single, did you have that picture of you and that big old fish on your Tinder profile?
No, actually, that happened while I was in a relationship.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you vote for Trump?
Actually, I couldn't vote for Trump. I was stationed overseas at the time.
Well, do you support the Trump administration?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and tell me why.
Mostly, I always look at it that kind of affects me. which is the military side of things. I guess the way that I've always looked at it with the Biden administration was, oh God, sorry, I'm in Korea. It's 5:30 in the morning.
Well, man.
God, I was about to bring up a point. I can't remember.
No, dude, all good, man. If you have a point, feel free to bring it up. If you don't, I don't mind moving on to the next guest. It's up to you, though.
Oh, yeah, the Afghanistan pullout. That was something I did want to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about it. What are your thoughts?
Personally, I thought it was poorly done.
Wait. You're active duty. So you're actually breaking federal law by like endorsing a political candidate or political party as an active duty service troop. I want to let you know before we get into discussion. I feel like there should be informed consent there.
I'm not endorsing a political candidate. I'm endorsing the current president of the United States. So no, it's not against anything.
Real quick. If we have any scholars in the chat, just confirm or deny that. But go ahead and continue to speak. I just want to make sure that you're aware of federal law. I'm just trying to do something nice.
Well, is it so? Even if it's the current president of the United States,
I'm not. You might be right. You actually might be right. It's in accordance with the Hatch Act. I don't know. Do you want to like put some time into reading it, or do you just want to take the gamble?
Yeah, you can. I gotta look it up now. I don't know.
Let's see.
I found my source. I found it, Dean. I found it, Dean. Don't you worry, buddy. I got it.
Okay. Well, how about this, Jacob? Just real quick. We're gonna go and let him give his source. In the meantime, just consider, like if you want to gamble the fact that you may be breaking law. If you want to break the law, I'm fine with that. I'm a liberal, party of crime and whatnot. So I'll find
break the law.
But
break the law.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take a chance.
Law.
I thought the law was if it was like during like the actual candidacy, but
yeah, I mean you could be right. I seriously don't know. But if you don't want to take the chance, I respect that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna take the chance.
Yeah, you have a good one, Jaker. I get it. Anyways, go ahead.
All right, so I lost my source now. I'm not even kidding.
Motherfucker! How do you lose a fucking Google page? Okay, we're gonna get somebody else up in the meantime. We got Liv floating in. Liz, did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
Liz, why? Why did you do it? Why'd you vote for Trump?
I mainly voted for Trump because I'm a first generation American, and I think that we have a huge problem with all these illegal immigrants in our country. And it's becoming ridiculous. The amount of illegals that were allowed in by the Biden administration.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say that undocumented migrants in America are a huge problem that's becoming so ridiculous, you're telling me that they're really hurting our country. Can you name one way that undocumented migrants that have not committed violent crimes hurt our country?
The violent crimes is a huge thing right there, dude. What do you mean?
Okay, well, I'm actually okay with either
raping of women, the beheading of people, all these, that Venezuela gang group that committed so many crimes.
Okay, Liz. So as it applies to undocumented migrants that commit violent crimes, I either agree with prosecuting and incarcerating them in America or deporting them to their home countries to be incarcerated there, whatever criminal justice system is more reliable. So we probably don't have too much disagreement there. I will say the one piece of legislation pushed through Congress under the Trump administration to prosecute undocumented migrants that commit violent crimes through deportation through the Lake and Riley Act was one of the worst pieces of legislation we've had in modern American history. I would have vetoed it in a fucking heartbeat. So I just don't think that the Trump administration is processing undocumented migrants who have or have not committed violent crimes properly. But I'd also like to point out that undocumented migrants are 2 times less likely than you, a natural U.S.-born citizen, to commit a violent crime. And it is a case that you voted for a violent criminal, a rapist, in fact.
They're committing illegal crimes by entering the country illegally in the first place. So no matter what, that's an illegal crime.
Yeah, I do understand that that's a crime. I mean, some people say it's a misdemeanor. I haven't read the law myself, so I'll just believe you. But this doesn't answer the question I asked you. We could get to that in a bit. The question I want you to answer is, can you name one way that undocumented migrants as a demographic hurt our country?
It hurts us financially. We're giving these people tens of thousands of dollars of financial, giving them licenses, giving them cars.
Yeah.
giving them hotel rooms.
What fucking world do you live in?
Our world.
Like, Liz, I'm so sorry, but like, this is just like pure fucking propaganda. I want to get that one so incredibly clear. It is like absolute fucking bullshit. Like, I've heard the hotels before, the fucking cars. What the fuck, dude? Oh, I'm sorry. I need to be kind. I actually am being pretty mean to you, Liz. I apologize. I want to be kinder. Here's my point. Undocumented.
Okay,
migrants
I don't get offended easily like you guys do.
Okay, and I take it back. I take it back, Liz. I'm no longer gonna be kind to you. I'm just kidding. I'll still be kind. But
It's
listen,
fine. I can take it.
my point is that undocumented migrants as a demographic actually don't really receive any federal benefits. The only benefits that they receive is like the availability to go to an emergency room in a hospital in the case of an emergency for like life-saving care. That costs our government over $16 billion per year, and that's not just for undocumented migrants, it's for all uninsured people in America. And then like some forms of healthcare like Medi-Cal in the state of California. But overall, they pay $100 billion for taxes a year in the federal, state, and local level, and they don't reap the benefits like you or I do, like Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, EBT, etc.
How about
That they pay
the
more in than they
15
take
million
out
people that
compared
were
to
collecting
citizens.
Social Security that were over the age of 115?
Completely different subject. How about we continue
completely
to talk
wrong.
about undocumented immigrants first?
I do have a question after he responded to Dean's point.
No, for sure. Go
ahead.
No, because I want you to respond to what I said. I'll condense it. Undocumented migrants pay more in taxes and reap less of a benefit off of that than you, me, or any other American citizen.
I don't care. I just don't like these illegal immigrants in our country.
Okay, and that's why I say that you're most likely like racist, Liz. It's because when I ask you to give me a cogent argument insofar as why undocumented migrants hurt our country, you're like, oh, the economy, they drain our resources. But then when I prove you wrong, like, I don't give a shit. I just don't want them here. Like, literal, like, I mean, like, unless you could like give me a defense that doesn't reduce down to vibes and prejudice, so, like, I'm just gonna call you a racist. But I do want to give you the mic to like refute that. Okay, because I don't want to be that liberal who's just calling non-racist people racist, right? So feel free to prove me wrong by giving me one reason why you're not racist, which would instantiate good reason insofar as how undocumented migrants hurt our country.
I'm just laughing at all these comments right now.
I'm gonna hop in real quick. I gotta go, Dean. I appreciate you. I did have the source, but I know you got stuff to do. All I read was on the no. I was just hanging out. I wasn't saying nothing. I wasn't being.
No, I was just gonna say.
LTT.
Feel free to re-request sometime. I enjoyed my talk with you. I feel like we should finish it.
Yeah, no doubt. I did read on the UCISC or something, United States something immigration something center. I don't know. I lost the source again, but I did have it, and I just closed my laptop. Basically, I don't know if it was a policy, but he lessened the, I guess, he lessened the things that you needed to do to seek asylum, and then in 2024 he then revamped it so it was impossible for people to.
How about this? LTTL, you were lagging out pretty hard. Whenever you get some free time, I'm live for 4 hours every day. I'll remember your name, re-request, and we could have a fleshed out conversation about it.
I got you, buddy. I'll bring all the sources.
Hell yeah.
And
bro,
Liz,
like
good
that.
luck. You are in a hole right now, Liz. You need to dig yourself out of it. I don't know if you're
I'm
gonna.
not
This
in a
guy's
hole.
good. Peace out.
My life's great.
I don't think it
That's
is
probably-
anymore.
This guy's like probably like my favorite Trump supporter I've spoken to in quite some time. I like that LLT guy. Go ahead, Liz.
Oh,
She
no
left.
way, she left. I was gonna ask her the question: should people who hire undocumented immigrants be held accountable because they're committing a crime?
Dude, I cannot believe that she left. That is so fucking funny. Dude, you're trolling. Yeah,
That is wild.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. I hope he turns out to be liberal. You know, we need him to get libbed up. Yo, X, thank you for the $2 over on YouTube Super Chat. Erica with a 2, Keller with a 5, and then Amber with another 5, then RJ with a 5, Allison with a 5, everybody with a 5. You guys are epic. Thank you guys so very much. Huge shout out to everybody over on that YouTube stream. I love y'all so very much, quite frankly. Ella with a 5. Thank you all so much. Let's see. Jalen with a 10. Thank you so much for the $10, Jalen. Everybody show some love to Jalen. Then Allison and Jonathan. There's like 10 people that donated $5. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And then also Jesus Christ with the $7 over on Venmo, and Clarice with a 5. And then Emery with a 2 and Laney with a 2. What's up, Jacob?
How you doing, dude?
You know, I'm actually doing pretty good. I've enjoyed my day here so far. Did you vote for Trump, man?
Yeah, I did.
Have we spoken before?
No, we have not.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Why'd you do it? Why'd you vote for Trump?
So the main reason why I voted for Donald Trump is for the immigration policy. When it actually comes to the tariff policy, I don't necessarily support it. I'm very neutral on that. Because I do think that some targeted tariffs are beneficial to the country. I think his broad tariffs aren't beneficial because it kind of puts tariffs on industries that aren't beneficial to the economy of the United States. So I think that a combination between Biden's plan and Trump's economic plan would have been the best economic plan overall. However, most of the reason why I voted for Trump was because of the immigration policy.
Jacob, we definitely have talked before, right?
How do you know, bro? It was one time.
I just have a unusually good memory.
Oh, that's pretty damn impressive because it was months ago.
I don't know.
Actually,
how
I'll
I
tell you
do
the
it.
truth. The last time I tried to join this, I said yes, and you kicked me off, so I just said no to be able to stay on.
Chad, we'll leave it up to the chat. You sound like a decent guy.
Have you talked to me, Jacob?
No, I have not.
Okay, I say we keep him. I say we keep him. Yeah.
Okay.
But
What immigration policy?
Before you talk to him, Parker, I do want to ask Kev. You said Dean for jail in the chat. What is that? Is that how you feel?
After listening to Democrats all the time, it just
you're not a
it's
troll?
the demons in you guys. It just
he's not a troll.
I don't think Kev's a troll.
Oh wow,
no, Parker.
Kev, I
Dean,
thought that.
you both talked to me before. I just it's not against you particularly, Dean or Parker, but the Democrats that deserve jail time, like Cory Booker. They're the worst of the worst, man.
He's literally on the floor for like 20 hours filibustering.
And the guy's the worst. This is beyond politics.
What did he do? What did he do that was bad? What did Cory Booker do that was bad?
That's deserving of jail time.
Everything the Democrats stand for.
Wait. Why do I deserve to go to jail? Name one reason why I should be locked up.
You support the people that are absolutely terrorizers in this USA.
Who?
They don't like USA.
Like who?
They hate USA.
Who do I support?
Cory Booker, I guess.
Wait.
What
You're
has
telling
Cory
me
Booker done?
I should go to jail because I support Cory Booker, which is a man.
You support
that
the
is standing
Democrat
up for the American
ideology.
people.
The Democrat ideology.
What's a
Anyone
Democrat?
that supported
let's be very specific.
ideology is anything against Trump, the TDS syndrome, and everything else. When Trump's trying to do everything he can to help this world and American values.
I hear you.
As much as I respect you, Dean and Parker, I've been on your live many times, Parker, and I love you guys. You guys are the next wave. I'm going to be unalived and gone before you guys hit Congress. But literally, you guys, God bless you and your
I have a question.
adventures.
I'm gonna
but
go
I'm
cut you
telling
off.
you,
I'm
one
gonna cut
day
you
you'll
off.
become Republican. One day.
Kev,
I've
I'm gonna
already
cut you
been.
off. I'm going to cut you off here, Kev. I have a couple things to say, but before I do, I need to thank 3 people for the donations. I'd really like to thank Briar for the $20 super chat over on YouTube. 200W Briars. Briar says, feeling the need to be quirky and different. Let's go, Briar. I love you. Then also Alan with the $50 super chat over on YouTube. I had to thank you, Alan. That is so much. Holy shit. Thank you, Alan. Alan says, how do you get to be so wise at 20 years old? Honestly, I don't think I'm wise. I just think I'm like over the shit of these people. So I just give it a very like melancholic reaction, But thank you so much for the love, Alan, with the $50, and then Brianna with the $20 over on PayPal, and Parker with the $10 on YouTube super chat. Show love to Brianna, show love to Parker. Alan with 500 W's for Alan and 200 W's for Briar. Can I just get a W donors from you, Kev? Can you say
God bless
W?
you.
Can you say God bless, Alan?
Thank you for the eight thingamabobbers. What I got
with a space cat. Nice, Kev. Okay, so anyways, you think that me, Parker, Cory Booker, we should all be in jail for supporting these terrible democratic ideologies?
Absolutely.
And the reason that
Well,
they're so
I'm
bad
not
is
saying
because they
you
perpetuate
the people.
they
Sorry, go ahead.
perpetuate like TDS, this Trump derangement syndrome, when in all reality, Donald Trump is just trying to do everything he can to save America and preserve high quality of life for everybody in our country. You're fucking wrong, and that's bullshit, and that is propaganda.
No,
sir.
I love you when you said that. I'm going to play back that right there, and it's saying that you agree with
Actually,
me.
Kev, what specifically has Cory Booker done that you disagree with?
Anything to screw with the Republican agenda.
Anything
That's
to screw
right.
with the Republican agenda. Okay, this is the issue. You think someone should go to prison if they do a filibuster to the Republican agenda? Do you realize how undemocratic that is?
Because
he's
Do
advocating.
you realize how tyrannical and authoritarian that is?
Because they are anti-American.
Imagine if Democrats were Imagine if Democrats were advocating for the same thing, that Republicans should be put in prison for filibustering their fucking agenda.
Wait, this guy's
Please
just-
tell me how
but here's
fucking
the thing,
Republicans
though,
would
there's right
respond.
and wrong,
Kev,
and you
Kev,
guys
you're
are
just
on
a
the
straight
wrong
up-
side.
Kev, you're just a
How?
straight fascist.
You guys are young
William, thank you for giving me a
youngins.
shower.
You
Kev,
guys are
just a-
youngins.
Kev, you're
okay?
fascist.
Young kids.
Kev, you're a fascist.
One day you're. Oh, hold on, man. You got yourself a meteorite.
I just wanted to
Say thank you for the meteorite.
I did. I said thank you, William, for the meteorite. But Kev, you are a straight up fascist. Like, so what you're advocating for is unironic fascism.
Nope.
Who are
I'm
the other?
I'm an American.
Who are the
I'm
other?
a Democrat.
Kev,
I was a
Kev,
Democrat. Was a Democrat. I'm now a Republican.
Who are the other leaders throughout history that have advocated for individuals that disagree with their political ideologies to be in jail? I can think of a couple. Hitler comes to mind.
Not too many other people, man. Not too many other people.
Stalin comes to mind.
Putin. He's doing well.
Putin,
right?
Putin comes to mind.
Do you like
Hey,
Putin?
well, you know what? It all boils down
Do you like
the
Putin?
American way. The American.
It's
the
like
American
this guy doesn't
way.
hear me.
And Jacob, I love
Kim
Jacob.
Jong-un
Jacob,
comes
good
to
job
mind.
for voting for Trump.
Wait, do you think that
Parker, I listen to you all the time, buddy. I'm on your lives a lot.
Kev,
Did you hear my questions?
Do you think that the government of North Korea is immoral?
It's cutting in and out, brother.
Is the government of North Korea immoral? Because they lock.
Sorry, sir. It's cutting in and out.
Kev, do you disagree with the government of North Korea for locking up? And
Well, I mean,
persecuting their
it's the
political
equivalent
opponents?
of the Democrat Party.
No, it's the
If
equivalent
I
of
were to
you.
choose North Korea over the Democrat Party, I would choose North Korea. Let's put it that way.
Who would you choose, Putin or Kamala Harris?
Putin, for sure.
Oh my God.
Kamala Harris is a
bro.
lady that of the night that worked her way up.
Stop.
No,
stop,
Parker,
stop,
let him talk.
dude.
Let him talk. Let him
So-
talk. No. Parker, please don't interrupt
It's
him
true.
here.
It's true.
I want you to be able to. So I asked you if you'd
Then
rather.
let me
support-
talk, Parker. It's
I
true.
would-
and you
I would-
know it.
I would
but
rather.
You can't say it
Kev,
because you're
Kev,
in the Democrat Party.
Kev,
and your
I
agenda.
want you to be able to finish what you're saying there. So I asked you if you'd rather vote for Putin or Kamala Harris, and then you said Putin because Kamala Harris is a lady of the night that has like slept her way to the top. Please continue explaining how you think it feel.
Oh yeah, she absolutely slept her way to the top, my friend. So
what we see, and
you
Kev,
know, the mayor.
Kev, if you would just allow
She
me to
was a
finish.
call girl.
Right. So what we see to be true of Kev.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
What we see to be true of Kev, Jojo. What we see to be true of Kev, alongside a lot of others.
Sorry, guys, I'm cutting it out here.
What we see to be true of Kev, alongside a lot of other men in America, is the fact that they place their sexism, their racism, their hate, their prejudice above anything. There's no standard for you. I mean, your prejudice is unwarranted. You just told
Democrat
us
Party-
that you take no. How about
the
you shut the
Democrat-
hell up, Kev? You go on mute.
The Democrat
Wait, why did it
Party
mute Parker?
is
Why did it
nothing
mute
but
Parker?
terrorizers.
Bro, Kev, I'm gonna go ahead and finish. If you don't let me finish, I'm gonna kick you. The only time you could start speaking is when I finish speaking. Don't unmute yourself. So what Kev straight up just told us is that his prejudice, his hate, his bigotry, and his sexism is unfucking warranting. If you're telling me that you would genuinely take Putin, the dictator, the fascist that has killed, ethnically cleansed, and displaced hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians and prosecuted own Russian citizens if they're gay, if they're trans, that has killed and poisoned his political opponents and held on to power for the last 20 to 30 years, if you're telling me that you take him over Kamala Harris because you think that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top, not only are you a sexist pig, but you're incoherent as fucking shit. I mean, like, I seriously don't see the distinction between you and a third grader when we're speaking about the rational states that go through the brain of a third grader. If anything, I might be dissing on third graders.
For that.
No one can hear him. He's muted. Never mind, it's fine.
Your Democrat Party terrorizes people.
Like, Kev, I want you to like explicitly tell us what you think is terrorizing to the people.
You guys want to bash Teslas. You want to bash Elon for doing his job, for finding, illegal stuff, and it's sickening. It's sickening. The Democrat Party protests. If you guys put amount of energy into the United States that you do to protest or TDS syndrome or mental disability, it would be a great duty for your country. You guys would deserve to be in the military. You guys would come out Republican.
Kev,
I guarantee
Kev,
it.
You're just like not even making a coherent point. I
And-
have
and-
asked
and your
you over and
7,000
over again. Can you
followers are
please stop talking
misguided.
please stop talking for a second. Kev, when I'm asking you over and over
Sure,
again
yes,
to
sir.
elucidate on the point on specifically what you think Democrats are doing that you think is so bad that we should be put in prison, you think is so horrible that we're destroying the country, yet you can't mention any of the policies, any of the things that we support that would specifically be bad. Is it the health care we're providing, the child care, the housing affordability, the food stamps? Are those the policies that are hurting people? The environmental regulations that ensure that we have clean drinking water and clean environmental standards so that people don't die of pollution? Please tell me what specifically are we advocating for that is going to hurt the country?
So what Democrat is out there making sure that we get fresh bottled water? Tell me that. Tell me that, Parker.
Democrats that supported clean water regulations that exist currently under law right
Yeah,
now,
because-
and also are literally being advocated for through
Do you
the
remember-
infrastructure bill, the bipartisan
Minnesota
infrastructure
and all
listen,
those people?
the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which specifically got led out of drinking pipes for clean drinking water. Republicans historically are not addressing those types of infrastructure issues. Donald Trump didn't get an infrastructure bill passed. He could not work with the other side, and he's literally undermining EPA regulations. He's undermining environmental standards and regulations. Those things Donald Trump has perpetuated throughout not only his first administration, but he's continuing into his second administration.
Yeah, also, just the Biden-Harris administration issued a final rule as an executive order.
All I know is we can agree to disagree. I give you the
administration
most
issued a final
respect,
rule as
Dean
an
and Parker.
The Biden-Harris administration issued an executive order in October of 2024 stating that all systems across the country that supply water to Americans or anybody in America need to identify and replace all lead pipes within the next 10 years. So, like, there's actually an executive order on set by the Biden-Harris administration to make sure that every single American is drinking water that's supplied through pipes that are not lead. And that's on top of the pipes that they replaced through the $1 trillion of funding under the infrastructure bill.
Good on.
Would you be able to name one of these really bad bills that the Biden-Harris administration passed? Because, listen, man, if you're saying that Democrats are this and that and they all need to be imprisoned for being traitors and harmful and violent, I'm going to go ahead and assume that, you know, the big two Democrats, Biden and Harris, over the last 4 years did something bad. So what was one bad domestic policy they passed?
I don't even think they passed any kind of policies, to be honest with you.
No, that's
Jesus,
not-
Lord
that's
Almighty,
not true.
they've been the most useless pieces of yahoos in the world, man.
Kevin,
It
that-
is,
that-
man.
that
it
claim-
really is.
That claim is
I
objectively,
never,
Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and speak.
I never gained with Biden and
Kevin, so what you just told us is objectively false. It is the case that the Biden-Harris administration was the most productive administration in modern American history insofar as influencing and passing domestic policy. You actually cannot debate that, as that is a fact. You can only argue that the policy they passed was bad, but you can't say they didn't pass any. They passed the PACT Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, among many others, as well as many executive orders. They passed significantly more policy than Donald Trump did under his first administration. So, Kev, facts matter, and the fact of the matter is they passed the most domestic policy out of any modern American history in a 4-year time span. And I digress that you, sir, are nothing but a conspiracy theorist who denies facts and contorts your version of reality to be a cultist to the Orange Man. And it's incredibly sad to see in the big 2025. He's muting himself, I think.
I'm in PJ's right now.
Kev, I don't think anybody could. I don't think that.
Yeah, Kev, no one can hear you. Kev, no one can hear you in the comment section right now because it's.
Dude,
this guy can't listen to me, dude. I'm telling you something right now so that people can hear you in the chat, Kev. No one on. Kick him off. He's just an annoying piece of shit. Fuck you. There's no way.
Can we actually have a debate yet, or like?
Valid crash out, because you were just trying to tell him how he could be heard by the chat over here on TikTok, and he was just like not willing to even listen to that. That's pretty crazy.
It's actually annoying.
Valid crash out. By the way, I would like to say, if you're watching on TikTok right now, if my stream gets taken down, head over to YouTube, link in bio. But I will also say, if you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo and the PayPal in the link tree in my bio, where you could support me. I get 100% of the proceeds. I could give you a shout out with your name, as well as an attached message that I'll read off. You could also find the Venmo and the PayPal and the link message over on YouTube, as well as you can support through Super Chat. But anyways, Jacob, take it away. Tell Parker why you voted for Trump. But before you do, I really got to thank Lulu for the $20 Super Chat over on YouTube. Thank you, Lulu. Lulu says, for the anime rivals debate we got yesterday, Naruto friendship. I appreciate you for the $20, Lulu. You're awesome. Huge shout out to Lulu. But take it away, Jacob. Go ahead and tell Parker why you voted for Trump. I think that you told us that you wanted to start with immigration policy, so take it away.
Yeah, so I was gonna first off say, like, when it comes to like the economic policy, I think prioritizing like protecting U.S. industries with tariffs, like Trump's approach with that regard is stronger, but with Biden's approach of like government investment and incentives for long-term industrial growth, that was also very effective. So I think that there's a good medium between the Republican and Democratic Party between this the economy, like a hybrid approach with strategic tariffs and industrial investment.
That's actually the Democratic position.
What's that?
That's actually the Democratic position. Is that they agreed with targeted tariffs, right? And then they wanted to increase domestic manufacturing in the United States through things like the Chips and Science Act.
If targeted tariffs are actually a Democratic a Democrat standpoint, then I guess you could say that. I thought it was more of an independent standpoint, but I'll move on to the immigration, because this is where I kind of lean Republican. So under Biden, he ended the Remain in Mexico policy, which was in 2021. His policy forced asylum seekers to wait in Mexico. Well, Trump's policy actually forced asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their claims were processed, of which Biden ended, and it led to more migrants to cross. He limited Title 42 expulsions, of which it had a brief spike as migrants.
Can we stop on the first one? Can we stop on the first one with the Remain in Mexico? Because the Remain in Mexico portion you're referencing is applicable to the asylum process, and applicable to the asylum process, are you saying that you want people who literally are seeking asylum from Mexico to be staying in Mexico while they seek asylum?
I wouldn't say that. It's just that the fact that we have such a broken asylum seeker. Our asylum seeker system is broken now because of Biden, because of all the immigrants that have crossed the border. So otherwise, I would agree with you on that point. But as we could see, that obviously didn't work, because we have over 2 million cases pending, which makes it literally impossible to process cases quickly. Like literally all the immigration courts are backlogged.
Wait, the reason why they're backlogged is because Donald Trump called for people in Congress to undermine a bipartisan border bill that would have increased the amount of immigration judges. It would have limited the amount of people who can be encountered at the border. And it would have also built more of the wall than Trump ever built under his administration. So that was a conservative leaning border bill that Donald Trump called for people in Congress to undermine, which would have addressed the concerns that you're acknowledging right here.
But that's the problem.
Donald Trump didn't care about that.
But Parker, you're disregarding the amount of border crossings there were, but prior to that bill. That bill was introduced in like the third year of Biden's term, and that was. And
wait, do you mean the hold up? Do you mean the Remain in Mexico?
Not Remain in Mexico.
Or are you referencing the bipartisan border bill? The bipartisan border bill was never passed.
Right, but I'm saying that was near the end of Biden's term, and at that point, the situation was still at large, and that wouldn't have just fixed it. You can't the problem
it was
that
a year and a half before the end of his term.
the problem that I see with the liberal standpoint of this is you guys disregard the amount of border crossings there were in the initial, and then you try to flip it on us and blame the Republican Party for not passing the bipartisan border bill, of which the bipartisan border bill had $20 billion allocated to the border, and all the other money allocated to external things like Ukraine and other things like that. So if you want to like completely like focus on the border bill itself, then you could then at that point you could reference the standalone border bill, and once you reference the standalone border bill, that just turns into like politics at that point, because at that point the border situation was already at large, and that's pretty much just the liberals trying to take a initiative towards fixing it. But at that point it was already too far gone. So it's like that bill, even if it was passed, it wouldn't have really saved much.
That's just not true, right? That's like almost 2 years ago at this point that you would have had a border bill done that would have been in effect still to now, which we do not have a border bill to that degree that would have affected that. Secondly, if you want to reference this in terms of the funding of the bill, you said like the 80-20 split. What you're not recognizing is that the bill was separated between the solo border bill and the foreign provisions for appropriations for funding, right? And the appropriations passed, whereas the border bill alone did not pass. Okay, so Donald Trump was specifically trying to limit the border contents of the bill, not the aid funding.
Well, from my perspective, from what I see of that is, I think that it was mostly just playing politics when it comes to the standalone border bill, and I think that's a big reason of why it didn't get passed, because I think that Republicans thought that liberals were trying to take a credibility for protection of the U.S. border whenever it actually was mishandled in the first place. And let me ask you this question. So if the border bill was so important and it should have been passed, like you guys
I'm gonna hop
pushed,
in here when I get a chance.
But,
I just want to put that one out there.
if it was that important, then why did Biden overturn all of Trump's prior border legislation? Why are you guys pushing that bill so hard whenever all Biden had to do is just leave it alone?
It's not at all.
Okay. So Jacob, you seem to be very confused about the immigration policy that we've seen set forth by liberals and the immigration policy that we've seen set forth by Maga and Trump. So the first thing that I want to acknowledge is that Donald Trump, since 2015 until today, has never done so much as spoken into a mic on a podium about a long-term solution to reduce undocumented migration into America. Not once, okay? The root cause of undocumented migration into America is neglected and slow legal means of entry into our country. There has never been one time where he's went in front of a mic and said, we need to make the legal means of entry into our country better. We need to reinvent the wheel, reduce the amount of time that it takes, make it more effective, make it faster, and make it less expensive, okay? And that would be the only way to effectively reduce undocumented migration in the long term, okay? And the reason why me, Parker, and other liberals will talk about this bipartisan border bill under the Biden-Harris administration so much is because that is the first piece of legislation in Congress since, as far as my knowledge goes, the beginning of Donald Trump's first term to, in some sense, expedite the legal means of entry into our country, in which Donald Trump then responded to by telling Republicans to vote against it. And you cannot blame that on the pork in the bill because they didn't vote against the pork. They're funding for the other countries. In fact, they still fucking passed it. This is why I think Kamala Harris was better for immigration compared to Donald Trump, because she at least had some sense of a long-term solution to reduce undocumented migration. Meanwhile, Donald Trump still has none, not to mention my vehement hate for mass deportation. It is bad in every single conceivable sense. It's bad for the undocumented migrants. It's bad for our citizens. It's bad for qualities of life. It's bad for government revenue. It's bad for GDP growth. It's bad for the labor force. It's bad for the prosperity of the American economy. And that is why I say that Donald Trump is so terrible for immigration.
So I understand your point on that, but when it comes to the Biden and Harris administration, they mishandled the means of people coming into this country easier. It was exponential. Like they couldn't. We have backlogged immigration courts, like I said prior, and asylum laws allow many migrants to stay like while waiting for hearings, even if they don't qualify. So like we basically have everything backlogged up to this point to where it's like they failed so miserably. I'd way rather.
Wait, you think that they caused the backlog?
I would way rather support a candidate
You're
that,
lying.
that prioritizes the U.S. citizens and security
He
rather
doesn't.
than one that mishandled it.
No, wait, well, I want to clarify, because he doesn't have a long-term solution to reduce undocumented entry into our country. He is not prioritizing the security of American citizens, nor is he prioritizing neither is he prioritizing the economic safety of American citizens. Is his plan for mass deportation actively hurts the economic safety, not only of Americans, but as a country as a whole. Not to mention, you said that the Biden-Harris administration was culpable for backlogs in our asylum processes, culpable for backlogs in the legal means of entry into our country. That's a fucking lie. Stop spreading propaganda on my live.
That's not propaganda. That's
it
just
is
true.
absolutely propaganda.
Our
Why do you think
asylum
that the
seeker-
systems?
is
One
our
moment,
asylum
Jacob.
seeker
I'm still
broken or
speaking.
not?
I'm still speaking. Why do you think the systems of asylum and legal entry into America were backlogged at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration?
I mean, whenever you have 10 million border crossings, then yeah, absolutely, that's going to happen. I mean, we had 2 million cases pending.
Answer my question. Why was there so many cases pending and backlogged in the first 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration?
Because of the amount of people that came in.
And why were there so many people that came in or wanted to come into our country in the first 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration?
So I will give you this. I know what you're trying to get into is the humanitarian crisis whenever it comes to like Latin America and other things like that. There are external factors that have to do with it.
Here's
However,
what it was caused by. Here's what it was caused by. COVID and Title 42. COVID destroyed economies south of America much more than the American economy. Title 42 prevented the entry of anybody south of America from entering into our country for 2 years. What did that lead to? Systems that were stacked and backlogged with so many fucking people. And the day that bill expired, they all began pouring into the systems of entry which they wanted. Okay? And so when you tell me that Biden and Harris are responsible for that, you are lying. The only thing that the Biden-Harris administration could have done in response to the fact that individuals had backlogged entry into America was to try to expedite those court processes by hiring more judges and funding more to the southern border. What did they try to do? Exactly fucking that. That is exactly what they tried to do.
When did they try to do that?
So this bill hit the floor of Congress in 2023. It began getting drafted in late 2021 by Langford and Chris Murphy.
When did Biden get in office?
The reason why, in January of 2021, this began getting drafted in late 2021. Why did it take so long? That's quick. That's a 6-month turnaround to the date when it began getting drafted. And the reason why it took so long to hit the floor of the House was because the border and border security is an incredibly partisan issue, and it was hard to get Republicans and Democrats to come together. But I just love the fact that you will continue to ignore the fact that the only reason that bill didn't get passed and we didn't have expedited means of entry into our country, which has led to longer lines and more undocumented entry into America, is because Donald Trump torpedoed that piece of legislation, and seemingly you don't give a shit. If you want to critique the only person that had involved themselves with immigration in the last 4.5 years in a negative manner, you must critique Donald Trump. He is the only person that has actively made bad decisions to make the processes of immigration into America worse and to cause more undocumented entry in the long term.
Okay, also, remain in Mexico, right? 2019, he signed it through an executive order. It's an executive order. He could have done it day one. Why did he wait multiple years to implement the remain in Mexico policy if you think that is exactly how you fix the border? He knew it day one. He could have done it day one.
Say that one more time.
The remain in Mexico border policy that you were perpetuating is such a great thing, an incredible policy. It's an executive order. Donald Trump could have done it the first day of office. Why did he wait until 2019?
Probably because there wasn't a border problem at the beginning of his term.
There wasn't. He ran on the border being an issue. What are you talking about?
Well, it wasn't nearly as much of a problem as it was later on.
Oh, so it got worse under his administration. It wasn't a problem when he first got into office, and by the time he left office, it was a problem. Is that your view? Is it Donald Trump that made the problem?
No, it was not Donald Trump that made the problem. He was the one that actually fixed the problem. So I'm trying to say,
so there was a pre-existing problem. So why didn't he do it day one?
How many people came into the country under Donald Trump?
Complete pivot from what I just said. Complete pivot from what I just said. Why didn't he do it day one?
Was it necessary?
I'm asking you. Why didn't he do it day one?
Well, if we look at how many border crossings there were in the beginning of his term, you'll see that there's not that many, which means that he probably had a lot of.
Okay, so there were a lot in 2019 when he implemented it, and that's why he had to implement it then? So why were there not many when he first got in office, and then there were a lot when he had to implement remain in Mexico? So it wasn't an issue, and then it was once he was president.
Well, it's mostly external factors, but
Oh, okay. So then why don't you blame external factors for what happened under the Biden-Harris administration? Why do you blame the Biden-Harris administration? Why do you say, oh, why didn't they do this right away? When again, Biden or I said Biden, Dean said 6 months after they did it, right? So you can't compare the 2 years where Donald Trump could have done it on day one to the 6 months where they have to get it through legislation, and it relies on the legislative branch. It's not the executive branch that can just sign it through an executive order.
Right, absolutely. But my point here is,
what is your point?
my point is, you guys are pivoting just like I am, like you
What?
claim I am, because this is what you're saying. You're blaming most of the border crossings on COVID-19 and external factors, right? But you guys,
let me be extra clear.
But
no,
you
because
guys
you're
are
misquoting me. Because
addressing-
you're not correctly representing my view.
Why would I want to correctly represent? What are you talking about?
Why would you want to correctly represent his view?
You bad faith debater.
What do you mean?
You're like, why should I engage in good faith debate? Did you really just say that?
No, I absolutely want to engage in good faith debate. I thought you were just.
Maybe you
I thought you meant
misspoke.
something else. I thought you.
He
were
probably
saying that
he
I
probably
draw an
did
equivalency
misspeak.
with
No,
your-
I was
with
just
your-
saying that you didn't correctly represent my view.
Okay, how did I do that?
Yes, because you
How did
said
I not do that?
that I think that you said that I think that immigration, that COVID caused mass entry into our country. I think that COVID caused mass backlogging through the legal means of entry into our country. Then the lack of action on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration, because Donald Trump told Republicans to torpedo the bipartisan border bill, is what therefore caused mass undocumented entry into America, because the legal means were so backlogged and nothing had been done about it, which then led to the crisis that Donald Trump ran on, in which he still has no long-term fixes for. And that's my big issue, man. Donald Trump has no valuable immigration policy under his administration. He only has harmful immigration policy under his administration. Mass deportation is harmful. Short-term border solutions is harmful. Taking and stripping due process away from migrants is harmful. Deporting a dad from Maine to a prison in El Salvador that he's spending millions of dollars on per year where we can't get him back from is harmful. Okay? All of his immigration policy is harmful, does nothing good for our country, and only makes his ignorant, prejudiced white supporters clap and jeer in their seats. That's all.
So what's more harmful, not having a long-term plan on immigration, or having 10 million border crossings?
Well, wait.
Name one way that undocumented migrants in America hurt America.
By getting paid under the table and not paying a fair share in taxes.
Okay.
Wait.
Undocumented migrants.
That's like the
Hey,
easiest
Jacob.
response. I literally have a friend that works in the construction.
Look at Donald
industry that
Trump's
works-
fucking
Wait,
tax
Parker. Hold on,
returns.
Parker. Let me finish. I literally have a
Okay.
friend that works in the construction industry that works alongside illegal immigrants, and they literally get paid under the table and do not pay taxes. A lot of them do.
Okay. Hey, Jacob, you just made my argument stronger. Do you want to know why?
Sure.
Undocumented migrants today pay $100 billion in taxes per year. If you're saying that they're more likely to accept wages under the table because they don't have a documented status in America, well, what happens if we did give them a documented status in America through mass amnesty?
So do you
All
think
of a
we should
sudden
just
they
give
know?
it to
How
them on
about
a
you
gold
shut the
platter?
fuck up, Jacob? Why are you? What, bro? Holy shit! Can you just not interrupt for like 30 seconds?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ!
I apologize.
So you're making my argument stronger. The reason you're making my argument stronger is because today, undocumented migrants pay $100 billion per year in taxes. You're arguing that they're much more likely than citizens to accept wages under the table and not pay taxes. So that means that if we give them residency or citizenship, they'll go from paying $100 billion per year in taxes to significantly more than $100 billion in taxes per year, because a lot of them, under the same material conditions they're in today, working the same jobs for the same employers they are today, will go from accepting wages under the table that they don't pay taxes on to accepting them over the table with their brand new SSN paying taxes to our government just like you and me. So here's the deal. That is why mass amnesty is significantly better than mass deportation. With one decision, one policy, with no material change in the state of any undocumented migrant in our country, apart from the fact that they now have legal residency, they go from paying $100 billion per year in taxes to more.
So I don't necessarily support mass deportation. I think that's something that's not like the best way to handle it. However, do you think that it's fair to just give them everything on a silver platter whenever there's other people that have wanted to get into this country legally for years? How is it fair to them?
Oh,
American dream. I mean,
you
you
give
believe
them
in the
all.
American dream,
You
right?
just give them all. You give all like the migrants that are coming into our country right now, as well as the undocumented migrants, this new expedited pathway to residency or citizenship. That's fair.
Yeah, and you believe in the American dream. The American dream being that it's going to be better for our children in the future than it was for us. So obviously we want to make it better for Americans, right, if we can, right, for the future, even if Americans in the past didn't receive those same benefits.
Then also, I just want to clarify, I'm okay with your usage of the term silver platter there. I think that citizenship should be on a silver platter for anybody that wants it, that hasn't had any prior violent offenses. I think that we should be marketing that to as many people as possible, to give it to as many people as possible. Anybody that wants it should be able to get it. It only strengthens our country.
I think that it would be beneficial for our country to introduce more immigration to where we can have more people working and stimulating our economy. Absolutely. But however,
I
all
have a question, actually.
Here's the
Wait.
problem though. Let me finish real quick.
I will.
The problem though with that is that I identified that there's already an issue with the system in itself. So
What is Donald Trump doing to fix it?
we have to fix the system first, and
What is Donald Trump doing to fix it?
Donald Trump is not doing anything to fix it.
Yeah, good boy. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Jacob,
Dean,
so
Dean, do not say good boy whenever I actually concede as a Republican and give you a point, man. Like you want
okay.
me to join the side, right?
Okay.
So I just want to clarify, the only reason why I called you good boy there, it wasn't because you made the concession. I actually am quite thankful for that, but rather that sassiness is rooted in the fact that I've been going back and forth with you on the matter of immigration for the last 30 minutes, and I feel as if you've been incredibly dense, and this has not been a productive conversation. In retrospect, I guess I'll say that your point's fair. I apologize for calling you good boy, but on, another note, maybe I meant it. Maybe I do think you.
okay, Jacob, would you be okay with 1 to 2% population growth per year?
Absolutely, yeah. Because our country.
Okay, so then what's your issue with? Wait, so then what's your issue with 10 million people coming over 4 years? That's less than 1%.
The lack of checks and balances between those people.
What?
I mean, you got, yeah. Like I said, I'm supportive of a system that actually makes it to where that it's doable. However, our system is already broken because of Biden and Harris. So you can't turn around.
How
and
is
say,
it broken?
Oh,
wait, how is 10 million people broken? If you said you were okay with 1 to 2% population growth per year, that's
It's
less than
broken.
1%.
Parker, it's broken because of the asylum seekers system is broken right now. In
Wait,
America.
but how is that broken at that level? You said that. Wait, you just said because the amount of people that are let in. You have no issue with 10 million people coming over 4 years. You actually want more than that.
I said that I don't have a specific number on how many people I want to come into the country, but I think it does stimulate economic growth if we do introduce people into the country. However, our asylum seeker system is broken, and we have a bunch of people on backlogs, which means that we have to fix.
What
that
are we looking
first.
for? Wait, Jacob, I have a question. What are we looking for when we have these backlogs? Right? Do you think there should be what type of process do you think should exist for immigration, for legal immigration?
It's very hard to have a process when you have over 2 million cases pending. That's the problem. It's very hard to fix that.
And if you don't fund enough immigration judges, if you don't fund enough court systems, if you don't fund enough officers to be able to deal with the influx of people, then that's true. But that's not an issue if you actually fund the fucking government and you don't cut federal employees like Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, I think that Elon. I don't want to get into all that, but I don't think Elon's the best for that job. Obviously, I mean he's